watch reality, cause you know that it bores me. And I don't care about the news, just give me my cartoons. Give me my cartoons. Yeah, come on and give me my cartoons.
Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of This Thing I Did, which I haven't quite figured out a clever title for yet. Today I'd like to talk a bit about Field of Dreams and why it is one of my absolute all-time favourite films. Released in 1989 and directed by Phil Alden Robinson, who you may know from his direction of The Sum of All Fears and exactly one episode of Band of Brothers, is a heartwarming tale of paternal love, baseball, ghosts, and James Earl Jones' quest to outact every white person in every scene. And seeing as it's set primarily in Iowa, there's a lot of white people. Based on the novel Shoeless Joe, the story follows the protagonist, Ray Kinsella, played by Kevin Costner, who is an ex-hippie corn farmer, and his awesome wife and daughter. More on them later. One evening, while walking through his cornfield, Ray hears an ominous disembodied voice whispering, "If you build it, he will come." This happens to be the tagline of the film, and a classically misremembered line. If you ever hear someone say, "If you build it, they will come," I encourage you to reevaluate your friendship with that person, because they've clearly missed the entire point of the film.
What, do you want to just sit around and be wrong?
He quickly figures out that he's meant to build a baseball field, and if he does, his dead dad's favourite ball player, Shoeless Joe Jackson, will come back from the dead and play baseball. Sure enough, Joe makes an appearance, portrayed by the forever deadpan Ray Liotta, and Costner goes on a mission to ease the pain of the various characters in the film. As an aside, in looking for a photo of Ray Liotta, I quickly realised there is a very good reason he doesn't smile in his films. Anyway, that's the basic premise of the film, and I'll concede it's incredibly cheesy. But here's a few reasons why it is also completely fantastic. Ray's wife, Annie, portrayed by Amy Madigan, is absolutely fucking magic. And not the resurrecting dead baseball players type of magic. I mean the "I will stand by my man with good humour as he drives our farm toward financial ruin" type of magic. One of the principal challenges of the film is that building the baseball field essentially sent the family broke, and she supports him all the goddamn way, despite the fact that, as far as she knows, her husband is having some type of corn-induced psychotic break.
Am I completely nuts?
Not completely. It's a good baseball field, Ray.
On top of that, she's also a one-woman fascist fighting machine. In the absolute best scene of the film, Ray and Annie go to a parent-teacher meeting in which the community are discussing whether they should ban the books of fictional 60s author Terrence Mann. After a speech given by the local soccer mum, the rhetoric of which would have given Joseph McCarthy a run for his money,
And I say smut and filth like this has no place in our school.
Fascist. I'd like these her pain.
Annie proceeds to stand up and open a can of hippy-dippy whoop-ass on the solemn room, before saying,
Who thinks freedom is a pretty darn good thing.
as such, Annie Kinsella may be the perfect woman. Moving on. Now, at some point, it becomes apparent to Ray that he needs to find this Terrence Mann in order to ease his pain.
What?
In the original novel the film was adapted from, the author just straight up named the character J.D. Salinger, who, well known for being quite the litigator, threatened to sue the pants off anyone who adapted the novel to any other medium and continued to use his name. Thus, J.D. Salinger was renamed Terrence Mann and cast as James Earl Mufasa Vader Jones. Now, I don't want to ruin the movie for those of you who haven't seen it, but needless to say, Jones plays the role to a T, and is one of the reasons I keep coming back to this film. But for the moment, we'll move on from J.D. Malcolm X Salinger.
Now get the hell out of here!
The second to last reason this film is fantastic is that it was Burt Lancaster's last ever film. Don't know who Burt Lancaster is? Fuck you, that's who. He was born in 1913 and was named number 19 on the American Film Institute's greatest male stars of all time. He starred in such films as Atlantic City, Birdman of Alcatraz, El Megantry, and Gunfight at the OK Corral. In this film, he plays the also ghostly ex-ball player Dr. Archibald Moonlight Graham, a ridiculously charming MD who gave up on his dream of playing ball to help sick kids in a small town.
That's my wish, Rickensella. That's my wish.
And is there enough magic out there in the moonlight
to make this dream come true?
And old Bert chose this film to retire directly after. Alright, it may not have been his choice, but he held back that stroke a whole year just to get this bad boy in the can. What a champ. The last reason I love this movie may just be a generational thing. I am undoubtedly a product of 90s Hollywood, and despite being a non-athletic pop culture junkie from Australia, I love anything baseball themed, despite never having played an innings in my entire life. I attribute this largely to constant rewatchings in my childhood of Field of Dreams, Angels in the Outfield, and The Sandlot.
You play ball like a girl!
And that one baseball-themed episode of The X-Files.
You ain't nothing but a coward. Hiding behind your mama's bedsheet. See your face. Holy mother.
Yes, that one. Regardless, the whole film has no trouble in allowing me as the viewer to suspend my disbelief in the admittedly ridiculous premise. The tone set by the dialogue, the main character's absolute faith in their cause, and the haunting but hopeful score makes this flick a constant feel-good rainy day kind of film. For all its flaws, I can come back to it any day, without fail, and have a nice time. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think, and you just might see some more of this in the future.
Smoking too much, now you got a black lung.